And the race is hitting up. It's not just about the presidential race, but also that of the parliamentary. Let's speak to Titsu Beyuo. Many of you know him as the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, but that story is about to change. He's up and running as one of the parliamentary candidates or aspirants for the NDC. Titus, it was a big surprise when we all heard about that. But which constituency are you running for, and why have you decided? Why the NDC, by the way?
Interesting. Thank you very much, Fred, for having me. The constituency is Lambussie constituency, which is in the Upper West region. It's a constituency that borders Burkina Faso. And the question of why the NDC, I'll say why not.
I see. Well, why not? Yes, why not? So that ends the story. But what are your chances, and why have you taken this decision?
All right. Well, I think my chances are bright, but learning from the cue Sir John gave us, which is fear delegates, I can only leave it to the final day to decide. But I have taken this decision because I have been working with the people for a long time. That is the constituency of my birth. I grew up in that constituency. I've been working there. But it's a very, very, very deprived constituency. The district is lagging behind in terms of education, in terms of roads, in terms of several infrastructural things. And when we look at it, we have leadership as a major problem. It is the opinion of the chiefs and people that they have not had leaders who have done proper advocacy for them. And so they needed someone who can do a lot of advocacy on their behalf, someone with a proven track record of leadership that they can trust. And so the calls kept coming. I was also at some point looking at my professional career, my academic career, and several times I declined the call, but at this point in time, I think I have to answer the call because the last election taught us a few lessons. The NDC won the presidential elections in that area with over 70% of the votes, but we lost the seats. And that would tell you that everything is not right. And there is therefore the need for men of substance to rise up and be counted in this battle to wrestle power from the NPP in that constituency and give up the best that the people deserve. And therefore, I've decided to sacrifice what will be my personal comfort, a clean, supposedly clean professional life where no one cares about what is happening to you, to come into frontline politics where now you become a public servant, and anybody can say anything. But then it is for the good of the people. So we are ready to take that sacrifice. Okay.
What's on your heart, and what do you intend to bring on board if you're giving the opportunity by delegates in your constituency?
All right. So a lot is on my heart, several interventions. And I'll just give you a brief background even before I go to directly what I want to do. I mentioned education. In the entire Upper West region, we have 11 districts. My district scored 6% in BEC, meaning for every 100 students that went in to write the exam, 94 failed. 94 couldn't make it. So if you are writing an exam and only 6% can pass sufficiently to continue, I asked myself, if I were growing up in that district today, will I be a medical doctor? I give you another example. I visited a community called Tayaguri. It's one of our communities in the district. This community is very distant from other adjoining communities. When I visited there and I was talking to them, the women told me that, Doc, can you imagine if you're in labor and there is no tricycle to carry us to the next facility, which is farther away, then where to deliver is a problem. And sometimes when you sit in Accra, you don't appreciate the magnitude of the problem. These people want just a CHIPS compound to be able to access health, and they cannot get. And that gives me part of the answer why NDC. Because NDC, for me, is the only party that has demonstrated that they can bring about equitable distribution of the national resources to bring access to health to everybody. It is NDC that sacrifice their money of government appointees and build up CHIPS compound. When this was happening, people were playing propaganda with it. But in this village of Tayaguri, if they got one chips compound there, they'll be forever grateful. When you go to the education sector, I just told you how abysmal we are performing there. One of the things I realized is that you see a class JSS pupil who can't even read. People are finished, they're going to write BEC, they can't write a complete sentence. So you ask yourself, what exam are they going to write to the people? So no wonder we are seeing the kind of results we are seeing. There is no single library in the entire community, the whole district. There's no library. So it's one of the things that's on my heart that I'll talk to partners and my network so that we can improve the literacy in this place. If we can get them a community library, which I think multimedia will be happy to join me do, our people can get access to reading materials, be able to read, and be able to make progress. I have done a lot in health for that place. In fact, my team were the first people to perform any surgery in the district, which means hither to our intervention in 2016, 2017, no surgery could be done in the districts. We had only one doctor in the entire district, which meant that everything health, they have to go to adjoining districts. Either that or you stay in there and suffer to death. We started doing medical outreaches there. I go there to perform surgeries with a team for the people to help improve their health. I brought down a container full of medical equipment from the US to distribute to health facilities. And some of these container equipment cannot even be used because we simply don't have the human power. Thankfully, we have had a second doctor now in the district, and the district serving over 51,000 people. We have only 2 doctors. So health is another area that I really want to make an impact, and aligning with the vision of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to expand healthcare services, creation of more CHIPS compounds, upgrading of the hospitals. I am hopeful that we can improve the healthcare in that area and also put in innovative measures to attract and retain critical manpower, skill set of workers, teachers, doctors, nurses, pharmacists that need to be there. What can we put in there to motivate them to stay there and work? People are posted, and when they come and see the place, they don't want to come in there. This district has no single tarred road. In today Ghana, the district capital has no single tarred road. At some point, our youth demonstrated because of this, other than the transnational road linking to Burkina Faso, which passes through Nandom and to Hamile, which is within our district. There's no single tarred road anywhere in the district. So the national advocacy on this will continue. I cannot promise anybody I'm going to build a road because it's not in my power, but I can bring the situation to fore, put it on the discussion board nationally that will attract the needed attention and those who can do it to do it, because they are also citizens of Ghana. They pay taxes and they deserve better. And so this is one of the things that really, really bothers us. We have other interventions in agri. Over 80% of our people are into farming. And we have a farming season that spans for just about 3-4 months of a year. After that, it's done. As we speak now, if you go into the district, almost all the young men have come down south to find something to do because there's no alternative livelihood for them. Irrigation services are virtually non-existent. If people could just get a borehole in a particular area, mechanized, they could do irrigation farming. Those who have it in their homes are doing some bit of tomatoes here and there to be able to survive. But the rest, nothing. So you go and people are sitting under trees just waiting. These are the challenges that are facing the district. And I think that it is worth sacrificing one's personal comfort, as His Excellency John Dramani Mahama mentioned, that some of us sit on the fence and do not want to participate. But when there is danger, we are all in it. And therefore, I have decided to make this call at this time to see how I can make a case for my people.
You're also a member of the NDC, which means that you'd have to do that collective effort, join that collective effort to ensure that you recapture power. Why would the NDC be the alternative going into the 2024 elections?
I think the track record of the NDC speaks for itself. If you look at the NDC, our developmental agenda, the nature of governance of the NDC itself the social democratic governance that the NDC proposes, as opposed to our main opponents who are looking at property owning democracy, I think it is clear for the people of Ghana to compare. What do we want to own? Do we allow very few people to own every property and the masses suffer? Is that what we really want? So I think that as of today, if you look at it in terms of record, those who have shown that development must be equitably distributed, that the national resources must be shared equitably, that nobody should be left behind, it is the NDC. If you look at the economic struggles we find ourselves in, at some point it was shown that they were trying to create an impression that the NDC was doing so badly. Labour, everybody was complaining, NDC was doing so badly, and then we decided to try the NPP. And the scoreboard is clear for all of us to see. Look at the cost of living. And when you sit here in Accra, sometimes you don't recognize this cost of living crisis. Go to my district, you have a community that is called Bangmong. Bangmong is quite close to Hamele. To move from that, to access a lot of facilities in the community, you need to go to Hamele itself or come to the district capital, which means you have to move. These people rely on fuel. Look at the cost of fuel. We don't have any other form of transportation that people can really use, apart from the tricycles, motorbikes, and now you can buy just a liter of fuel in villages like this. It's being sold for about 25 Ghana cedis. If you are not doing any economically productive venture, how do you get money to move around? So people are walking between communities because they can't afford it. So I think that, and the current economic hardship itself is telling us. And if you look at the nature of governance that we have seen, well, we opted for the property owning. And I think we have seen what property owning truly means, where people are successful, have it in double, in quadruples, have all that they need, while the rest of the masses are suffering. And not only suffering, they now want to come and take the little that we have saved up. Would the NDC ever do a policy like want to take pensioners' money? Certainly not a social democratic government. Would the NDC want to take people's hard-earned savings? Certainly not. Would the NDC sit down and see this kind of display of opulence, of wealth in the suffering, directly in the face of people when people are suffering? I don't think so. So I think that the people of Ghana tested to see what the NPP can offer. They have an opportunity to give the NDC the chance to come back and reverse things. Yes, it will not be easy because the level of damage and destruction done to the economy is bad. Our economy is in an ICU. From the medical point of view, we are almost dead. We are comatose. And the people managing it cannot even make a diagnosis. As of today, everything is attributable to Ukraine-Russian war, COVID. Is that really the case? Did this happen only to Ghana? Even the country that has been invaded has a better economy than us. So without the diagnosis of the problem, can we really trust this government to fix the problem? If I am a patient lying in ICU and the lead surgeon managing me says nothing is wrong with you, I would prefer an alternative surgeon or an alternative doctor to come and take care of me because I can feel in my body that I'm suffering. And you are telling me nothing is happening. That is the sorry state of Ghana. So I think the people of Ghana are looking for someone to make a proper diagnosis of the condition. And I think the NDC government is better placed to make that proper diagnosis and come up with an all-inclusive solution. When NDC faced crisis, they called a Century Conference. NPP has faced similar crisis. Clarion calls have been made. Call a national stakeholder meeting. No, they have the men. They want to fix it on their own. What are we seeing? Has it been fixed? I don't think so. At least I don't feel so. Nobody in my district feels so. So I really believe that the choice is obvious. We all have to just open our eyes and now call on all Ghanaians to take this ballot that is going to come in 2024 as a vote of destiny. We are determining what happens to our country. Whether we are restoring the country to a country that everybody feels part of. Every Ghanaian can claim ownership to a bit of that national cake. Or we want to propagate a few people having it as a property-owning democracy, where they alone amass all the wealth to the detriment of the others. I gave you an example of the chiefs comparison. When NDC decided to cut down a percentage of political appointee salary, we saw the evidence of it. Chiefs compounds were built all over. And this MPP says they are reducing fuel vouchers, they are reducing that, they are reducing that. What is the evidence? How much has been generated? What has it been used for? How can someone in my village relate to that? Don't we still see the V8s being driven around? So if really there is a reduction, where have they put that money? Can we feel it? So I think on the basis of this, I am very confident that Ghanaians will give the NDC the chance. But Ghanaians must open their eyes, protect the ballot, come out in their numbers on election day, and don't make that mistake. A lot of our people sit down and say, oh, NDC and NPP are all the same. They are never the same. I had to make a choice, and I opted for NDC.
Right.
As a medical doctor, we got our first codified conditions of service signed under an NDC government. I went on strike for that. I led a strike on that. NDC was in government, we went on strike. And I seek for the welfare of the ordinary person. And I don't think anybody deserves worse. And so we did everything, and we got this from the NDC government. Implementation started later. They lost the power, and implementation started later. Whether it's been implemented exactly the way we want it is another story. But definitely, I believe that the NDC gives us the best alternative.
I'm grateful, Dr. Beyuo. We'll see you when the campaign heats up.